Hey guys, welcome in to the Outspoken Network here. It's a Sportscast episode number 226, guys. We're going to predict our NFL predictions here. Guys, it's been a while since we've all been on. You got hosts Brian, Craig, and Jeff. Welcome in, guys. How you been? Jeff, you are muted.
I'm
Can
good.
you hear me? You're good? All right. Good. All right, guys. Well, it's been way too long. We're all super excited for football season coming up. The camp started this last week. We've had a lot happen over the off season. We've had so many things happen, and we're going to predict the division record. We'll talk about each division and go through how we think who's going to win it this year. We'll start off with the NFC, and we will go from there. So the NFC North, we'll start there. NFC North. Ravens won this division last year pretty handily, 13-4.
Hold on. You just said NFC and the Ravens is the same sentence.
My bad. I have it backwards here. We're going to start with the AFC.
All right.
My bad. I had it backwards here. Sorry. My bad. We'll start with the AFC. We can edit that part out. What's good about this? Maybe. Anyways, all right. AFC first. AFC North. We got to save the best division for last, so we'll start with the NFC last. AFC North, they beat this division last year. They were 13-4. They at times looked like the best team in the NFL last year. Does anybody have the Ravens winning this division again?
No, I don't know. I don't see it changing. I mean, I don't know if Craig thinks. I don't know if Craig thinks anything otherwise, but
you think the Ravens? I think when Burrow's healthy, I think they're an absolute match for him. He was never healthy from the go last year. He had the injury in training camp and never really was healthy, and then gets the injury that ends the season. I mean, I don't think Cincinnati ever had a chance last year. Again, I've made it a pretty public. I haven't hidden my dislike for Lamar Jackson. I just don't. I can't side with him. I mean, he played well. He won the MVP last year, but there were other guys that had stats that matched his, and I still can't get over basically, not last year, but the year before, where he basically didn't even go to the game when he was hurt. He didn't even show up on the sideline for his teammates. And to me, that's not a guy that I mean, when you're not going to support your teammates and show up even though you're injured, and I still think he could have played. I think Cincinnati gives them a run for their money.
So, Jeff, you're going. So, by the way, I'm keeping track of this. I want to keep track of these, and I want to whoever predicts the most and wins at the end of the year will get bragging rights or whatnot in the show.
I mean, is it one other thing on the Bengals and Joe Burrow? Was that the same injury?
No.
No. Okay. I didn't know if he tweaked something that he already tweaked in the training camp.
The training camp injury was the calf injury or whatever it was, and that bothered him for the first probably month of the season. Well, then I think that led to, I think he was kind of compensating for the quad or the calf or whatever, and it led to the shoulder or whatever it was that he had. I think the mechanics were all off. But I mean, he was down for the season.
Joe Burrow,
I don't think he was ever fully healthy. He was never 100% fully Joe Burrow.
No.
Well, the MO for Joe Burrow is that he starts slow and then the Bengals kick it on, but he was hurt all last year.
Well, and the MO is also he can't stay healthy, so let's keep that in mind.
I mean, is that actually and we can talk about that later, but it's interesting how it seems like there's always some kind of weird tweaking or something with him, Joe Burrow.
I mean, his offensive line, he had a freak injury, he snapped his leg. Okay, well, that was 1 year.
Yeah.
Then he comes back, he actually stays healthy. They go to the Super Bowl with being the most sacked quarterback in the NFL. And then he gets hurt again. So he's been unhealthy. He's had that freak accident. So hopefully he's healthy. Now, if he's healthy, I think the Bengals take this division. I totally agree with Craig here. I got the Bengals win this division. I think for the Ravens to have such dominance, they have to have Lamar Jackson have an MVP season like he did last year. And I don't think he's going to be able to do that again.
Their defense is always
back-to-back years. The defense
really
is good.
So
they got a really good They got a really good head coach. They added Derrick Henry, which I think he's pretty much washed at this point. He is going to bring a little bit to that running attack. I just think the Bengals with a healthy Joe Burrow, that's all we're relying on here.
Totally forgot they got Derrick Henry. That's crazy. That's insane.
The Bengals look to be a lot better now. Plus, he has the Eminem haircut now, so y'all see his haircut. Yeah. Joe Burrow shaved off all his hair and bleached it yellow like the Eminem cut. So, all right, Jeff's got the Ravens. Me and Craig got the Bengals. Sorry. The East. Bills won it last year, 11-6. This is a very interesting one because I think the Bills took a complete crap in the offseason. They got rid of Josh Allen's help. He has nobody to throw the ball to. I have the Jets winning this division. I think the Jets, the defense they got a really good defense. Again, relying on a quarterback to stay healthy, just like the Bengals. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, they will have a complete 180 and turn the team around. If he gets hurt again, then this season's over. But the Jets have talent on they have one of the best running backs in the league. They've got talented wide receivers. They got a good defense. I'm not a big believer in the head coach, but as you can see, Aaron Rodgers drove Coach McCarthy, to the Super Bowl, so he can do it with Robert Saleh too. I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but he can overcome that. I think the Jets win this division. Miami will be okay. I'm not is Tua, can he stay healthy? All the concussions. And I don't believe the Buffalo Bills will be there. I think this is after this season, the Buffalo Bills, after they fall apart this year, they blow everything up, get rid of the head coach. But I got the Jets winning that division. Craig, who do you got?
I still have to ride with Miami.
Miami.
They have the offense that's pretty stout. Their defense has been really good. I love the head coach. That guy can get those guys to play for anybody. Yeah. In McDaniel, I was very disappointed in the way that season ended last year, where they kind of just let things slip away and let the Bills steal it on the last day of the season and made their path to the playoffs a lot harder than it needed to be if they'd have just won one more game. But Tyreek Hill gives people fits. They just gave Tua the contract extension. I'll be interesting to see if Jalen Waddle comes to camp and performs and with the contract, or whether
he's been a little inconsistent, man.
He has been, and they've had a ton of injuries in the wide receiving core and Tua, and so that can derail the whole. If that happens. But I'm going to go with Miami. But I think you're right on the Bills too.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard for me to say, now that Rodgers will be back, it's kind of hard for me to not pick the Jets. I'm going to go with what Brian was saying. I'm going to go with the Jets on this one. I think it would be weird not to, even though we have not actually seen Aaron Rodgers in a full Jet system yet, obviously because of the freak injury last year. So it'll be fascinating to see him go up against some of those teams in that division. I'm curious how they'll play against him. The Bills, I think it's up to the Jets or the Miami, and I go with the Jets just because of how good Aaron Rodgers was, and I'm curious to see how he plays with them.
Yeah, I was contemplating Miami too as well because they're a good team. It was tough, but I just think again, healthy Aaron Rodgers, really knowing how to play the game and his leadership ability, and it's just the team they put around there. They've kind of always just needed a quarterback, and I just think they put it together this year. The West, the AFC West, been dominated by the Chiefs for a long time. They won it with 11-6 last year, a year that we all thought this isn't an off year. They go win the Super Bowl again. Jeff, I'll start with you since this is your division. Do you got anybody but the Chiefs up there?
I mean, what do you want me to say? It's not, it's not realistic for me to sit here and say that it's not going to be the Chiefs. So it's going to be the Chiefs probably. I mean, what else can I say? It's been them for, I don't know, 5 years. Time.
Craig, you got anybody different than the Chiefs?
Yeah, I can't.
All right,
unless something happens and it's all of a sudden we do mid-season predictions and Mahomes is out for the year, then yeah.
All right, guys, I got something for you because I couldn't choose the Chiefs. Every head in the world is going to choose the Chiefs. I said Let me think outside the box here. I'm probably going to be wrong. But give me, with a new head coach, turning this franchise around and give me the Chargers. Okay? Harbaugh, brother.
Good luck with that choice.
Turns it around.
Is this his third time now? Third time's a charm in the NFL or what?
Hey,
how many times have you been back in the NFL?
I mean, he went to the Super Bowl. He went to the Super Bowl and an AFC championship or NFC championship with the 49ers.
This isn't Urban Meyer, okay?
It wasn't unsuccessful.
Totally crap. I think he's a good head coach. If anybody can turn a team around, I think it's him. Now, it's more of me just hoping because I can't stand the Chiefs at this point. They do have talent. They drafted. They had a really good draft. They drafted Joe Alt. No one's getting to Justin Herbert this year on the left side of the ball. The guy's an absolute unit. They have talent around him. They've always had that talent, and they never put it together. I think if Harbaugh can get the best out of Herbert, Herbert's been given a lot of slack in this league because his talent. They've gone off the talent alone. He can make every throw. He can move out of the pocket. He can do everything that you want a quarterback to do. It's just crunch time, game time to go down and win the game. Something's missing.
Clutch.
And maybe Harbaugh can bring that in. Harbaugh had a really successful stint in the NFL. He just took the Wolverines to the national championship. He knows how to win. Give me the Chargers, and this might be the most off-the-wall pick of the night. Give me the Chargers to win the AFC West.
I think it is now. I mean, I don't think probably next year or the year after, it would be crazy. But, yeah, I mean, Harbaugh's good. I mean, he was very good at Michigan. He had multiple double-digit win seasons. He made McCarthy into what he is. He is going to be in that quarterback room doing work, and giving his 2 cents in. But the complaint with Harbaugh in the NFL has been it works early, but it doesn't work late because he can't talk to grown men like he talks to the guys that his presentation of what he has doesn't work for grown men, whereas college kids listen more and he can kind of talk, the demeaning, the brash, that doesn't work for guys that are making millions of dollars. And so that's why I think that he got run out of San Francisco. And I don't know if Herbert gets his feelings hurt, easy, then this is going to be a good match. So it'll be interesting to see how that relationship molds going forward.
There'll be a lot of chess pieces being thrown around. I mean, you have the Broncos, you have Sean Payton, you have Harbaugh, you have the Chargers, obviously the Chiefs, and the system that's being run there by Reed. So, I mean, this is out of all the teams. I think those 3 teams are the ones that are like constantly going to be battling each other on the chessboard, like trying to figure each other out, and it's fascinating. It's going to be a really interesting division.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton finally has his, has a quarterback. Like he got inherited with
Wilson.
Wilson, and he didn't like that. I think he has his own deal now. So I agree.
I mean, and I actually looked at some of the training camp stuff today. Then the first 3 days they were, it was okay. But then what ended up happening is I think they're not doing pads yet. I think they're doing pads on Monday. So Saturday today was their last day of just,
Yeah, you only get so many of the padded practices, so you have to use them wisely.
Yeah, so they did red zone drills today and a few other things, and people were like, the first 2 days, people were kind of like, Bo Nix is, he's made some mistakes. He's not hitting guys like he was, like we thought he would yet or something. But today, other than the first play, I think he threw a pick. After that, he was lights out.
Yeah,
and I think he threw three touchdowns or something like that, and I'm like, geez.
Honestly,
so okay.
Like I told Brian before, if you ask me, out of all the quarterbacks that were drafted, I liked Nick's. His potential to me was above everybody.
Yeah, and I think a lot. I think I mentioned it on one of the episodes. Maybe it was the last one. I think we did. But yeah, I mean, people like the quickness. They like the arm release. That's one of the things
like
that
everything.
everybody was talking about was like he gets the ball out quick. He gets the
Yeah.
ball because I mean, if you go back last year, and it's weird because we didn't have a bad offensive line, but for some reason it seemed like we did, mainly because Wilson just held onto the ball too long, and it was just what are you doing, man? Like you can't just. I mean, the offensive line can only do so much if you're holding on the ball for 6-7 seconds. Like it's so yeah. So it's interesting. I'm fascinated this year. This division, it's gonna be a fight going on. So it'll be fun to watch.
Sorry, guys, I had some technical difficulties. If you want to, I put it in the chat. Anyways, all right. We got 2 for the Chiefs. I got the Chargers. The AFC South, I think, is pretty simple to me. You got a lot of bad teams, and then you got the Houston Texans. I got the Texans winning this one as they won it last year, 10-7. I think they're a better team this year. CJ Stroud came out and killed it last season, had a really good year. I think his team just gets better. Another year of Stroud, another year of this head coach, another year of this defense. They added Stephon Diggs in the offseason to go along with it. They get Tank Dell back this year, as well as they missed him for some reason, or they missed him because he snapped his leg last year. And I got the Texans. I don't really know how you can say anybody else is going to win that division unless you're a Jaguars fan and believe in Trevor Lawrence. But I know Craig and me, I don't. Who you guys got?
That. Yeah, I think that was an impressive turnaround. I was not a fan of him in college, but he impressed me very much so. From not only a standpoint of how he played, but leadership ability. They just raved about his leadership ability, and I think they're only going to get better with the draft picks they got. And so I'm very excited to watch the Houston Texans do some damage. And see if the sophomore slump hits him like it has most people. But he played some really good football, and the Texans played some really good football, and I think their draft pick, D'Amico Ryan, really had those guys going last year, and I would pick the Texans hand down in that division.
I'm gonna have to agree. I think it's gonna be the Texans that they got better in the off season,
100%.
and 100%, and then they have obviously, they had a really good team last year. So quarterback, we're gonna see him is his second year, right?
Yeah.
In the NFL. So be interested to see how that shakes out too. This is like the second year people are gonna get to see him. Will they adjust? Will some of the divisional foes learn a few things that maybe could derail his game a bit, or rattle him? So
the sophomore slump that they,
right.
some quarterbacks might hit. So it's just that division is just so bad. I just don't see realistically.
I definitely think they're going to win it. I'm curious. It's fascinating to watch his second year and see, what he's learned, and is his game even better than it was last year, which is crazy to think. So, I definitely think it's going to be Houston.
That to me might have been the easiest one to choose out of the divisions. Honestly, it was the Texans. I just don't see any other way. But the NFL is unpredictable. That's I think why we like it so much. Every year you always have 2 new teams in the playoffs picture and 2 teams that are out, and it seems to be that way every season. So that's what I like about it. All right, the NFC. Let's talk about it. All right, we got the NFC North. My division. Lions won it last year with 12-5 record. I got the Packers winning this division. I think we get a full season to see what Jordan Love could do. We saw him really turn it on last year. In the last half of the season, he the last 7 or 8 games of the year, he finished with the 21 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions. He finished one of the best quarterbacks in the league if you take away the first half of the year, or just factoring the last half. So I think he got his contract, he got paid. You got another year with our young wide receiver crew that was absolutely dominant last year. I think they win it. We got a new defensive coordinator that's coming out of college. He's supposed to be more aggressive and different kind of blitzing. I really like that because our last defensive coordinator killed me. I got the Packers winning. I could see the Lions winning it. I'm not going to sit here and say that the Lions aren't a good football team. They are. But I just think Green Bay is going to win it. Who do you guys got winning the North?
I'm going to go with the Lions, unfortunately, Brian. I think I like the coach. I like the way they were playing last year. Nobody expected them to get that far, so, I mean, Green Bay is going to be up between Green Bay and Detroit. And it was exciting to see Detroit be that good that soon. And honestly, I hope that I think that in terms of actual progression, I think maybe both teams are pretty similar. I think they've kind of, head to head wise, but I'm going to give it to the Lions just because I think they're going to be a lot more hungry this year. I think because they got a little taste of that. And golf, I mean, even the way that they acted during the draft, some of the players, you golf out there, you had the whole city was just, excited even for just the draft night, but you had some of the players out there and kind of exciting the city again. I think it's fascinating, but I go with the Lions, not to just because you're a Packer fan and I want to upset.
Well, last year it was interesting because after Green Bay was out, I was kind of rooting for the Lions. It was this great story, right? The Lions haven't won in ages. They finally get going. Well, I'm over the love story part of it. Now they're in my division. We're rivals. The Vikings are going to be absolute crap this year. The Bears, depends on how Caleb Williams does. They can honestly be a good football team. I don't think he comes in year one and turns it on. Maybe a couple years from now. I don't know. I don't know if he's the guy or not. I'm leaning towards he's not. But I think it's the Packers or Lions that take this division, and I'm over the cutesy great story because now it's time for my team to take it back up top. I actually just watched the wide receiver show on Netflix, and it follows Amon St. Brown from the Lions and the year they had last year, and he's a really good wide receiver and a cool person. But I got to start turning my hatred for the Lions now. But Greg, who you got winning this division? I think I know your pick, but you might surprise me.
I can't go against Detroit. They showed me too much last year. They were a fluke play by Brandon Ayuk away from going to the Super Bowl, and I think they just, I think Campbell doesn't let that get to their head. I mean, he basically told them, "You may never get this opportunity again. I'm disappointed in this loss because this isn't guaranteed. You may not ever get to this again." So I believe with that head coach, he's not going to allow the success from last year to feed into this year. He'll use the momentum, but he's not going to let the success go and think they're entitled and think that they just have to show up and walk into stadiums and they're going to win football games. He's going to have them ready every week, and they're going to play some good football. I just believe the Lions. Now Green Bay showed a lot at the end of the season, made a good run, and made a playoff run, and
took out Dallas.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be a two-team race. I mean, I agree with what you say about Minnesota with McCarthy. He's going to take some time to adjust to the speed of the game. I love JJ to death, but that's going to be, a big jump for him. And I'm not a Caleb Williams fan, so I think it's a two-team race, but I think the Lions edge them out, and I think they end up battling in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think whoever doesn't win the division, I think, is a wild card team.
100%.
I think you got two teams from the North going.
It's kind of what happened last year, so. I mean,
and I just think, and look, I like Dan Campbell too. Jeff, you mentioned the coach, and Dan Campbell's the guy that I like. It gets you to run through the wall for him. It is good to see the Lions have this success, after so long. And I mean, when we grew up, Barry Sanders is the best running back we ever. I liked watching Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
Any game he played, I hated playing him twice a year. So
I watched a documentary about him, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago.
So it's good to see, but like I said, I got to get over that because they're my division, and I don't want them to do anything. The NFC East, baby. This is where it gets real interesting. No team has won the division back-to-back years in like 25 years or whatever that freaking streak is. Craig, this is your division. I'll let you start it off first, sir. Who you got winning that division and why?
Well, it's very similar to the Dallas, the Detroit and Green Bay division. It's a two-team race. The Giants aren't going to be anything. Washington, I think they're good, but I think they're going to need some time to get the momentum rolling. New head coach, new quarterback, new everything. I just don't like Philadelphia. They've lost a couple key pieces, I think. I'm not a fan of the head coach. That I believe he lost the locker room last year. I believe they had such a big lead and were what they start 8-9-0 and all of a sudden lose 4 or 5 straight or 3 of 5 and blow the division. I believe he lost the locker room. I don't have any faith in the quarterback. I think Dallas has a very difficult schedule. I don't believe they're going to win more than 10 games. I don't know if that's enough, but I'm going to go with Dallas just because I think Philadelphia kind of implodes because I'm not a fan of the quarterback and I'm not a fan of the head coach, and I don't like anything they've done in the offense.
Guys, we got our first comment of the show. Ryan Sims is on. He says, "There you guys are. There's some technical difficulties. We were on Facebook Live, but it wasn't to the public. It was only to me, you, and Craig. And he couldn't find us. And then I've just switched to public. So now we're public on Facebook. Gosh, everything's so complicated.
No problem.
Ryan, glad you're on because we're talking about your division, and I know you like to come on and talk about it. Craig just gave his prediction. Who'd you pick, Craig? Sorry, I had a lot of things. It was the Cowboys.
Yeah. I just don't think Dallas. I mean, I just don't think Philadelphia. I think they have too much internal turmoil. Head coach, quarterback. They lost a bunch in the offseason. I don't like Dallas' schedule, but I think they do enough to win the division.
All right. Sorry, I was texting Ryan trying to figure out this whole thing. I've got the Dallas Cowboys not winning their division this year. I got the Eagles winning their division.
Shocker.
Ooh. Okay.
It really is not really that big of a shocker because the Dallas Cowboys have absolutely done nothing
Did you not sense
this
the
offseason. Well, no, I did not. I did not sense the sarcasm. The Dallas Cowboys did not get better. They didn't do anything. Jerry Jones, again, we're all in, but we're not going to do anything but get worse in the offseason. We're going to bring back our washed-up running back. The best move you did make, though, was bringing in Zimmerman. Zimmerman was a good pickup. Your defense might look a little bit better. I got the Eagles winning. I think they did a lot of good moves in the offseason. They brought in a really good defensive coordinator. Kellen Moore, I'm not sold on, and I'm not really sold on Hurts. But I just think with Dallas not doing anything, we have one of the worst running back groups in the NFL. You're going to put a lot more pressure on Dak Prescott. You got CeeDee Lamb holding out. You got
Lamb got a new contract offer Friday. It'll be done in a week.
It might. That's true. Dak's not paid. Your head coach isn't paid. You got a lot of question marks there in Dallas. I don't think they win it. And I'm going to go out, bold move here. Cowboys don't make the playoffs this year either.
Whoa.
Bold move here. Bold
That's
prediction.
I mean, so they have a lot.
Who do you got winning this division?
They have a lot of holdouts. I mean, from what I've been hearing and reading about in terms of players and stuff, there's quite a bit of players that are actually doing that kind of thing. But I thought it was it not Lamb and Parsons? Or was it just Lamb?
Parsons was there. He just he didn't show up to the involuntary practice.
Okay.
He showed up.
I know there were some ramblings about Parsons as well, so maybe.
And quit your hating. I don't pick against you every year, sir. Okay.
So
you
do. You're just a homer.
But you do.
I do not. I just know when you make the playoffs, you ain't gonna win. But
oh man.
Anyways.
So yeah, I think think in terms of teams that have gotten better, I want to say the Eagles had a good offseason.
Yeah, they
you
did.
know, they did pick up some some players and stuff like that. This is one of those tricky. It could go either way.
And Washington had a really good offseason. But like I said, Craig, I don't think they're there
Washington
yet.
is not there yet.
I just think they're too inexperienced.
Yeah. But you
Dylan-
give them 3 or 4 years, I think they'll be
Yeah,
okay.
no, absolutely.
Thank you,
but-
Dylan, for jumping on, buddy. Go Pack, go, baby. Go Pack, go.
So no, I'm actually going to come out and say I have to agree with Brian, not because I don't like the Cowboys, just because I just don't trust. This is going to be a weird year. I don't know what if this deal does not work this year, what happens? It's just fascinating. The Cowboys are always fascinating. It's a fun show to watch, actually, because I'm not a fan of them, so I'm not invested. But I'm sure as a fan, it's probably just constant not knowing what the heck. But
what Ryan says here is there is some merit to it. They fell off faster, fell off a cliff faster last year. They were 10-1. They don't win their division. Maybe Sirianni's lost the locker room. They were saying he's on the hot seat.
Where did I hear that before? Was there an echo in here?
We'll see, because he's had a lot of success there of winning in the regular season. Now,
yeah,
you got to put it together in the playoffs, and that's exactly why. And you can almost book in this too. Coach McCarthy will be fired after the end of the season, and Mike Zimmerman will be your head coach next year. I guarantee it. Write it on the wall. You heard it here first.
My other question also,
I don't doubt that, especially if they don't make a huge run into a playoff. I mean, you got to make it at least probably the NFC Championship game where he's fired.
But Dan Campbell, isn't he the defensive coordinator? Isn't he gone? Didn't he?
Dan Quinn.
Dan Quinn. Yeah.
Quinn's over in Washington. He's the head coach in Washington.
Yeah. So
yeah, but you got Mike Zimmerman. And that,
right,
like I said, that's the best pickup they've had.
Yeah, that's true. So I don't think much changes with the Cowboys, and if nothing much changes with them,
they didn't get better.
I mean, well, I don't think they're not going to make the playoffs. I think that's a little bit of a stretch, Brian.
They
but
somehow
that's
always
my
win
opinion.
10 games.
I think they'll make the playoffs.
We'll see. These are hot predictions. All right.
Yeah.
And if they make the playoffs,
garbage.
is out of the realm. No, but you put a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott with no rushing attack. Zimmer will make it better, but how much better? Is Micah Parsons going to show up at the end of the year when he's tired?
It can't get much better. It was a top 5 defense. So,
also, Ryan, if you ever want to call in, you can now on this.
Hold on, I got to look that up. I don't think Dak. You're telling me Dak Prescott had a top 10 defense last year and couldn't do better than that? Let me look that up. I got to look that up right now, Craig. You swear it's top 5 defense? Top 5?
Mean, it was in all the matrix. I mean, I know they lost the back end. I know they lost their cornerbacks, but I mean, yards per game, sacks.
You talking about the rankings?
Yeah.
Ranking for Dallas? They had a good defense. What are you talking about?
Wow, that's sad. Dallas had the number 5 defense last year, and Dak Prescott couldn't take them anywhere.
Right off the top of the dome.
Is terrible.
I don't even need to look things up. Dude.
Terrible.
There were a few games that were some outliers.
Well, this can't be right. Because this has the Panthers the number 4th defense. How is the Panthers number 4?
Well, they had a trash quarterback. I mean, their offense is garbage.
If that's true, then Dak Prescott is definitely not the guy. Ryan Sims. You got a top 5 defense, and you can't take your team past the first round of the playoffs. That's terrible.
Top 5 defense got gashed in the playoffs. I mean, whether or not they were top 5 all season, I mean,
that's what I was saying. There's some outlier games like that where, but overall, they had a really good defense.
4,000 to the 49ers, but I mean, in any other game they were in. I mean, it's an overall
not as
season.
bad as the Broncos guys. We got stomped by the.
So
Dolphins,
Ryan said that, and you said it too, Craig. CD got an offer this today, and so did Dak. Well, what are those offers?
Well, Stephen Jones did not say the numbers, but he said there was an offer made to Lamb on Friday, and the ball's in his court whether he accepts it or not. And I mean, it'll be the same with Dak. I mean, listen, these guys need to understand
We'll get to that in a second, Jeff.
that it's not going to be. They have other guys that need. There's ways to do these contracts with signing bonuses and everything like that. What these guys need to be willing to come off of is the placard that says I'm the highest paid at this position annually.
Well, both CeeDee Lamb and Mike Parsons want to be the highest paid,
and that's what I'm saying.
Non-quarterbacks
They need to come
in the NFL.
off. They're going to have to come off that. They're going to have to come off the little title that says highest paid ever. They're going to have to get their money, but they're going to have to allow Dallas to do it differently and do signing bonuses and move things around, or else they're going to lose Parsons, they're going to lose Dak, they're going to lose somebody because you just, by the salary cap, the way you break it, you can't.
So who are you losing? I think you lose Parsons, if I had to guess.
I think, especially with
maybe
Quinn,
CD,
but
I'm not sure.
I think especially with Quinn, going to Washington, I think all he has to do is pick up a phone and Micah Parsons will go play for Washington and go play for Dan Quinn he'll play for him again in a heartbeat.
If you let Dak hit the open market next year, you're definitely Dak's probably gone. Or you're gonna have to outrageously money whip him.
I don't see,
but I don't think he goes.
But I mean, they're already gonna have to money whip him because of Jordan Love, because of all these guys that have signed.
Well,
every time you let the ball drop again, the next guy up, he's gonna get whatever the money is.
But the rumor with Dak is 63. Where does 63 come in? The highest right now is Jordan Love, and that's 56. Now, or 55 or 56. Now Ryan wants to talk about that.
I agree with Ryan on that one.
Can we talk about how we're going to be paid a guy with 9 good starts, $55 million a year? It's exactly what I said. It's the next man up. It's it. We're not going to. Ryan said we should offer him 43. He's going to laugh at that and hang up the phone. No, it's 56, and that's just it. And I don't like it, Ryan Sims. I don't like that. That's the mentality of
they're all
it's
overpaid.
The next quarterback contract, and they've got to up it. It's just the way it is.
Jared Goff was the highest paid for a minute.
Yeah, Jared Goff's not.
I mean, and he's not
the only person that's done their team as a quarterback in the league a favor is Patrick Mahomes. And that was taking a 10-year, $400 million contract, getting paid $40 a year still.
And you don't think he's getting kickers somewhere? He's making money somewhere. He's not taking a pay cut.
Okay, Ryan says, I have 8 years. We know who Dak is. Yeah, Dak's a guy that likes to beat up on bad teams and can't win against the good teams. We know exactly who Dak Prescott is. And you want to pay him $63 million a year? I don't think so. I'd rather take the guy that's
only the number 2 MVP, in MVP voting last year.
That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that does not mean 2 craps when it comes to
it matters when the argument favors you. But it doesn't matter.
It matters when he's retired and you're looking at if he's a Hall of Fame career. If he got second MVP,
statistically
second MVP means nothing when it comes to winning football games, Craig. When it comes to winning Super Bowls, having success in the playoffs.
You haven't.
That
Jordan
means
Love hasn't
crap.
won anything.
I know he. I'm not saying he has, but we're gonna pay him because he's the only option we got right now. You're not gonna go. Sorry, guys. We saw what this guy did in 9 games. By the way, he had a better year 1 than Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. But we're gonna piss this away because we don't want to pay the guy. You're gonna pay the guy.
And Prescott's numbers are better than everybody before him.
What? Sorry.
Prescott's numbers are better than anybody before him.
It's cool, but like Ryan said, we have 8 years. 8 years of it. We know
never
Dak.
Had a losing season.
We've seen it.
He's
cool.
never not won double-digit games.
Awesome. That's great. That's great. If winning in the regular season is all you want for your quarterback. That's great. Aaron Rodgers had a lot of great things done in the regular season.
Dak Prescott,
but he failed a lot in the playoffs.
Points. Dak Prescott didn't let up 4,000 points against the Packers.
Dak Prescott threw 2 interceptions against the Packers, cost the team points. Wins and losses, unfairly or not, most of the time go on your quarterback.
Okay.
Is that not true, Jeff? They take the publicity of the wins and the losses.
They do.
That is. And yes, I'm not sitting here saying Dak's trash. He's a good quarterback.
You're saying it in a different.
But he's not the
vocabulary.
guy that's going to take you to the Super Bowl.
Okay.
We've seen it 8 years.
All right.
It's just not the guy. So, do you want to pay him and keep him and hope and a prayer that he takes you there? Okay, that's fine.
Because again, who are you going to go draft? Because you're going to win 10 games this year. So you're going to go draft the guy from
that's your GM.
Ball
You're
State.
never going
to go win the guy from Ball State and hook your wagon to him.
You're never going
because
to.
That's who's going to be left in the draft at 26.
You're never going to be not good enough to get better in the draft, but you're in that middle ground. You're a little bit better than the middle ground. You're not like 8-8 or anything, but
no, you're going to make the playoffs. You're going to win 10 games. You're going to draft 26. There's not a quarterback at 26.
Peyton didn't go to the Super Bowl until year 10. Dak Prescott's no Peyton Manning here. Ryan Sims.
Statistically, he is.
He's no Peyton Manning.
Statistically, he is.
You cannot sit here and logically tell me Dak Prescott is Peyton Manning.
But I can.
Oh man.
Because if you match him up, statistically, he's Patrick Mahomes, other than playoff win.
Aaron Rodgers is great.
Go look it up.
Loved him. He won a Super Bowl. Awesome. He did great a lot of the times until we got to the playoffs, and he choked in NFC Championship games after choke after choke. That's the truth. I can admit it. Dak Prescott, 8 years in, needs a lot of help and especially around him, especially when he was a rookie, needed a lot of help to do what he's doing. You take away his rushing attack this year, his offensive line's not going to be that great this year. And they won their division, which he beats up on the Giants every year. He beat up on the Redskins every year.
I mean, so does everybody.
Should be 4 easy wins. The Eagles will split. If they make the playoffs this year, they're going to lose in the playoffs.
I mean, my question is, since Dak's been in the league for 8 years, when does he win a championship? That's my question. Because I think everybody's saying his statistics are through the roof, and he's Peyton Manning / Mahomes.
He's a great regular season quarterback.
When does he win a championship? What year would he win a championship?
On any given Sunday, anybody can beat anybody, and the same goes for the playoff. I mean, you might go in. This year was his best opportunity. Not going to lie. This year was the best. The NFC playoff picture was the weakest of but you caught a Packer team who just got hot at the right time. It's like the NHL. Team that might be the 8th seed, if they get a hot goalie at the right time, guess what they're going to do? They're going to march through the playoff. Well, the Packers decided to start playing football. The defense, somehow they had the worst statistical defense in the NFL. Brian's over here pulling his hair out, and all of a sudden, 3 weeks left of the season, they start shutting people out, and you can't predict that. You can't predict that. There is no way that you're going to predict that they were going to run in there. Brian knows better. He didn't know they were going to go in there and hang 50 against Dallas.
I
said
y'all were going to win. I said y'all were going to win.
I think we all predicted that.
Yeah. So
Jeff Ryan
that's a weird
says
word.
When Jerry gets a cutthroat head coach, will Jerry allow that?
No.
I mean,
and there's even an article that there's people that are believing that he's lining this up to sell the team.
No,
I don't think he ever does it, but
everyone's hope and prayer, and I've heard a lot of rumors that Bill Belichick's coming, but Bill Belichick wants a lot of control of it.
Yes.
A lot for Jerry Jones to be like, here you go, buddy.
Even when Jones retires, and it's just another Jones. That's the next in. I mean, like nothing's going to change.
Well, here's your problem. Here's the problem with Dallas too. Every head coach they've had, Jerry Jones has never really let them bring every guy in they wanted to and work as a team. You go look at what's his face, Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett had what's his face there, the young guy, offensive coordinator now for the Eagles. That was always supposed to be the next guy. Well, he left, and then you get Coach McCarthy. Well, Coach McCarthy didn't want Zimmerman. Coach McCarthy wanted his buddy to be defensive coordinator, and Jerry Jones says, "Sorry about your luck, buddy. I'm bringing in Zimmerman." I'm like, you already have your guy waiting on you. So when you lose, guess what? Zimmerman's right here. Zimmerman will be your head coach next year. It's almost writing on the wall. It happens all the time.
Yeah, it won't be for ourselves.
It's crazy.
But I mean, I think the question is because the narrative's always the same every year, and I don't know why this is. But with the Cowboys, they're a head coach away, or
From
they're
a coach.
this one piece away, or if they just had a better running back, if this guy didn't get injured, we were there. Like, and so when is that kind of a broken record? When does that become like, oh well, we're not just a head coach away, or we're not one player away, like? I mean, it's always every year is always just like this little tweak that we need, and I don't know, it just seems odd.
Look,
Yeah.
and you can go back and find on the podcast. I've sat here and said that Dak Prescott's a top 10 quarterback. He's a good quarterback. But when it matters, at the end of the day, there's no playoff success, and that's your problem. That's your problem.
Well, I
And
think
that's
Craig
it.
said it in one of the episodes. They just didn't spend any money to bring people in. I think that's one of the things as well. Some of the free
Well,
agents
they're too
that
busy.
Craig
They're
was
too
talking
busy
about.
paying the guys that they got. Trying to pay everybody that they have top money. You don't have any free agent money if you're spending it on four guys.
That's the real problem with and it's all over the NFL is your quarterback wants to be the highest paid, so he's making 50-something million. Your number one wide receiver wants to make 35 or more. Your running back or defensive end wants to be the highest paid. So you turn in the three guys making the highest paid, and now you got no money everywhere else. Where you better hit on your draft picks, because if you don't, you're going to not be very good. Now, and one of the big reasons that Green Bay was successful last year is our wide receiver group is very cheap. We've got a lot of young guys. We have the cheapest offense in the NFL, and they played great the last half of the season. Hopefully, now the new season, they learned some more things, got some more connection with Jordan Love, that it'll just run smoothly from here until we got to pay somebody. But we're a very young team, and we were the youngest team in the NFL last year, and we have the cheapest offensive, and the cheapest offense in the league. So.
And honestly, like when it comes down to like I was talking about with the outlier game, like all of a sudden the Green Bay Packers were a good team going against Dallas. Maybe that's when the Green Bay clicked, since they're young. I mean, I think there's always that thing where eventually when they're a young team, they'll gel together, they'll create that unity, that bond, that what sets up for the future of, stronger bond of a team, and this next season is going to be interesting. And maybe that was that point, and it happened towards the end of a season. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it definitely happened towards the end. Now, and I don't know if you guys feel this way, and you could say I'm being a homer. I've never seen a quarterback in 1 year change so drastically.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And Ryan Sims, I talked to him 6 games into the season. I said, Jordan Love is not the guy. If this is what we have to look forward to, it's gonna be some dark days in Green Bay. But then something clicked. I don't know what it was.
The Brinks truck.
I don't know what it was, and he flipped the switch, and he looked. You're like, oh man, okay. If this is the quarterback we're getting, but we had to pay him, and that's just. I mean, you're gonna have to pay the guy.
He got paid. Now it's all downhill from here, Brian.
Ryan Sim expects us to offer him 45, take it or leave him, kick him off the door. I'm like, what do you want us to do? He's gonna get money. He got paid, and hopefully there's no sophomore slump. And he comes in, and they go crazy this year. I knew the East is gonna go quite a bit because it's about the Cowboys. Cowboys are the third youngest team now. Ryan says so. And being young means a lot of growing up, right? A lot of maturing, and we're going to see if that happens. And it took Green Bay half the season last year to get it done. All right, the NFC West, I don't know if you can put anybody else up there other than the 49ers. If you do, it's a pretty bold move.
Pete Carroll's out.
No.
Yes.
Is he?
Yeah.
Yes.
He's out.
He's an executive.
They fired Pete. Oh,
he's
who's
an
the new
executive.
guy? Well, Seattle ain't got a roster anyways, or a quarterback.
Well, right. I heard that the other day, and I was like, what?
The only other team I think competing for it is the Rams. They had a pretty good year last year if we counted them out, and now they got another year. Stafford seemed to play pretty decent, but I just don't.
I just don't think Stafford has much left in the tank.
I think it's 49ers.
Not against a team like the 49ers.
I think it's.
What about Ayuk? Would you take? I would take Ayuk on my team. I don't think I would send 2 first round picks for him, but
I mean, I'd give him Lamb for Ayuk.
Ryan's
but it's the
picking
same. But it's the same.
Rams.
Hmm.
Bold move there, Ryan.
Yeah,
Rams
it
did
is.
have a lot of injuries I mean, that's
I
last
mean,
year.
I could see
They
it.
have
It's
they
just
have a solid wide receiver core. Old Puka.
Oh, Puka was a beast last year.
He was a beast, and then Cooper Kupp was hurt for a lot of the season, and he comes back, and if he's healthy, I mean, Stafford to me is better days are behind him, and now if he comes out and puts a season together, yeah, I can see the Rams. I mean, their defense. Oh, and Aaron Donald retired too, did he not?
Yeah, he retired.
Yeah,
He's gone.
So
That's crazy.
So that changes the defense dramatically.
I just think Shanahan's a great coach, obviously. They've got too much talent over there. Purdy proved it last year. He wasn't just a flash in the pan. He's a really good quarterback, or at least in that system he is.
Serviceable, in that
Kittle,
system.
Deebo Samuel, and all those players. I think Ayuk will be a pretty good miss. And from the wide receiver show I watched, they seem to all connect with Ayuk in the locker room. Maybe that's a little regression there in the team chemistry, but we'll see. The only other one I would say with the Rams, Ryan's going with the Rams. Pretty interesting pick, but if Stafford has a year, and he turned it on at the end last year.
And then, is this the first year that they've actually had a draft? A draft pick?
I don't think they've had a first round pick.
Draft.
I don't think they have yet. I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know they didn't have any for a while, so I was like, is this the
gave
year
one to
they
the
finally
Lions.
got one?
All right, the NFC East or the NFC South. Sorry. And this one to me was easy. I got the Falcons winning this one. I think the Falcons winning. I think Kirk Cousins was one of the best pickups in the offseason. To me, he doesn't get the credit he deserves. A lot of the times, they've got talent. They had a good defense last year. They have offensive weapons that their head coach didn't like to use for some reason. They made a bonehead pick after last year with Penix Jr. there after giving Kirk Cousins a long contract. I think the Falcons defensively, and with Kirk Cousins coming in, I think he turns this franchise around to be better than they were. They're going to win the division. I'm not saying they're going to go to the Super Bowl, but they're going to win their division next year. I think the Bucs will be second place, and it's probably by a 1 or 2 game margin that the Falcons, in my opinion, take that division. I
mean, you really think Kirk Cousins will last the year?
Yeah.
You think Penix Jr. You don't think Penix Jr. will come in at some point?
No. Not unless he blows his Achilles again, like him and Rodgers did last year. Kirk Cousins is usually pretty healthy, except last year. I think Kirk honestly gets a lot of crap. He's usually consistently in the top 10, probably bottom half of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league every year. He always throws for a lot of yards. They've got a tight end there that we've been waiting for them to use. It's really talented. They did a head scratching pick with B.J. Robinson as a running back last 2 years ago, who's there, and their defense was, I believe, a top 5 or top 10 defense. So I think they have some pieces. Their quarterback last year was abysmal, and
when they had a head coach that would make terrible decisions.
Head coach was terrible, so I just think the Falcons win that division. You got the Saints in the division, which they're going to be crap. You've got the Bucs as really the only other team that is going to be a factor in there, because Baker's finally on a team more than 1 2 years and has
has
the
same coordinator
and they look, Bucs went to the playoffs last year, and they won their division at 9-8. If that tells you anything. So I think the division's pretty much up for grabs, and I think the Falcons take that one.
Shaq Barrett retired as well. I think he was playing for Bucs. But
Craig, who do you got in that division?
I think you're right with Atlanta. I mean, I like Baker. I rode that train last year, and I was right. But I don't think Atlanta has a lot of, with the new head coach, a pretty solid quarterback. He plays big, except for your primetime games, whatever. But Cousins, I think, and they have an insurance policy if Cousins gets hurt. In Penix. I like Bijan Robinson. I hope this new head coach uses him the way he's intended to be used, not sparingly as the other head coach. But I think Atlanta can beat. It's a pretty wide open division. I can see I can see the Bucs getting there, but Baker kind of regressed at the end of the season, and we'll see. But I think Atlanta, their defense is very good.
I can't disagree. I'm going to go with Atlanta. I think that, especially on the fact that Kirk Cousins, I mean, you heard reports he wasn't really happy about the whole Penix Jr. deal, kind of rubbed him the wrong way. I do think that we'll see a interesting response, but it will be on the field.
Yeah,
I think
he
will.
He was upset because they didn't tell him.
Right, exactly.
If they would have warned him and said, "Hey, we're going to draft your replacement. Don't fear not. You're still our guy." They just went and he found out on ESPN when watching with the rest of us. Bad move on that part. But
yeah, I think he's about to go nuts.
I totally agree that he would come out in the first couple weeks and put up some huge numbers and then go, "What was that draft pick?" So we'll see.
Yeah. But overall, I do think that I think it's a good idea is the Falcons. I think it's a smart move.
Ryan says Saints will win the division and have 10+ wins. Book it. The Saints who's their quarterback? Derek Carr. You're on the Derek Carr train, Ryan Sims. Derek Carr, I thought, would have turned it around with the Raiders. I mean, they got Devontae, supposedly his guy, and then he ends up being benched and then released. Y'all need to go watch the wide receiver show. It's pretty good.
Do we know if that's true, Brian?
What, that part? I don't know. I mean, Ryan's a pretty good source.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm not saying he's not wrong. I'm just saying
has anyone heard that before? Because they told him. I haven't heard that before either. I don't know. And it's interesting because you don't see a lot of quarterbacks leaving when you have a number one guy like Justin Jefferson.
Makes sense.
So that would make sense. Ryan says it's 100% true. So maybe that would be kind of funny because Kirk goes over here and they're like, well, we just won't tell him. We'll just do it.
Yeah. It's Green Bay all over again. Rodgers went nuts when they drafted Love.
Yeah, let me tell you. Oh, and that makes me so mad. That makes me mad. And I'm going to tell you what. And this is totally true. Aaron Rodgers, at that time, a couple years into it, around the time before we drafted Love, Aaron Rodgers was playing good, but not Aaron Rodgers good. Right? He was still good, but he wasn't playing Aaron Rodgers good. So we draft Jordan Love.
He goes on an MVP run.
And he goes, okay, F you, Green Bay. Now I'm going to go here and play like an MVP. And what is it? I'm like, why did you need that to play good? That's the part I'm like, I can't wrap my head around. Why did you need that as motivation to play good? You should play that way because you want to win more championships. You want to play that well for the team, whatever. But he's like, now I'm going to start playing. And he turns it on and wins back-to-back MVPs or whatever, or MVP. And then I'm like, that's the part that really annoys me. But it is what it is.
Y'all went away from going to the Super Bowl or something? Or you went deep in the playoffs with?
Yeah, we lost to the 49ers again in the NFC Championship game like we always do. Like Rodgers always did. It was always the 49ers and the NFC Championship game. We went to 3 NFC Championship games in a row and lost them all. But, man, I love it when we get on here talking about Dallas and Dak because it gets heated. I think it's great.
Well, the Cowboys are fun to talk about because of the
the drama.
There's
always
drama that goes.
Yeah,
Cowboys. I mean, it's always fascinating to talk about because there's always some kind of hoopla going on, or Jerry saying something to someone after the game, or
that's all he wants. He wants everybody to keep talking about him.
Of course,
Jerry Jones is an idiot.
Of course, they run the headlines when it comes to NFL stuff. It's quite fascinating.
Yeah, Ryan just sent me the link and story to the Kirk Cousins. So that's totally true.
That's crazy.
And it said whether he stays or not, they're drafting his replacement. So he was like,
"Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not sticking around for that." Craig, well, now we already got that answer from you before, but Jerry Jones comes out again and doubles down on the whole "we're all in." It's laughable.
Yeah,
it's just laughable.
And you knew it was when he said it.
Yes,
it's literally just. I mean, from a financial, just put everything else to the side. From a financial standpoint, it was impossible. How are you going to go spend any money in free agency when you still have Prescott, Lamb, Parsons, that you all have contracts that you need to give them? How are you going to spend any money? You can't. It was physically impossible.
You would have to double down and make them show up on the contracts they have, pretty much.
I mean, isn't the money going
not by enough to cover 4 new
Well,
contracts.
that's
It goes up a little bit every year because of TV deals and everything like that, but not enough to max out 4 guys.
you do guaranteed. Isn't that not? Does that not go to the cap when it's guaranteed? When it's like, signing bonuses or guaranteed cash?
No, the signing bonus, that's the loophole. If you turn it into signing bonuses, then all that goes to the cap is your annual per year. You can make $1 million per year and have a $50 million signing bonus, and you can make $51 million that year, but the cap hit is $1 million. But these guys are all too wound up in the little tag that says highest paid ever, highest paid in this position, and they want that title whether it's for a whole season or whether it's for 3 minutes. Like, Goff was the highest paid for a minute, and now Love's the highest paid, and the next guy's going to be the highest paid. There was a point in time when guys were making. That's why this is going. That's why I say it's the next guy up.
And here's
whoever's
your problem,
next in line, no matter how good they are, if they're your franchise quarterback, if you want to keep them, that's why they should have done Dak 2 years ago, because they would have been able to pay him $40 million and got away with it.
If you could have signed CD and Dak, it could have created $30 million in cap space. Waiting is terrible. We could have actually gone in
100%.
if we signed that.
No, that's absolutely true.
Jerry Jones, being a smart businessman, is terrible at contract negotiation. And I know it's probably more
and he's not
of his son. It's his son. But every time this happens, every time they try and play hardball, the player gets to bend the Cowboys over the table, and they end up giving in anyways. I'm like, what? We might as well just
and you end up in the long run
months ago
paying more
2 years ago
because you waited for 2 more guys to get signed, and now you owe them more money.
That's why you're horrible. Because what's his face? Jerry's son came out and said, we only got so much of the pie, so come to the table now and get your pie. And that's why Jalen Smith, your horrible linebacker, got a contract again, because he's like, well, he came to the table, we gave him some pie. I'm like, well, did he deserve it? You just paid this guy because he asked, because he came to the table, and then he turned out to be a bust?
That was to prove a point.
Terrible. Oh,
That's all that was.
Yeah, and the Cowboys get bent over the table. The Dak Prescott hasn't been over the table. Dak Prescott has a no trade clause, so he can either sign a deal or he can hit open market. And they're talking about. Brian was saying that they're talking about close to 70 on the open market if Dak Prescott gets. I'm like, that would be outrageous.
Somebody will give it to him.
$70 million for any quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah,
let alone Dak Prescott.
But by the time next year rolls around, that's going to be the number. I mean, at least 55 now.
You're at 55. You wouldn't jump 15 million just to say.
I mean, at least it's not like Major
Dak
League Baseball.
will get 60 or 62. The next guy will get 67, and by 70 by training camp next year.
Well, we're 2 or 3 years away from 70. But what the NFL needs to do is they need to have a different cap for quarterbacks, because at this point, you're gonna find 100. 5 years from now, we're gonna have $100 million quarterback a year, and that's absolutely insane.
I mean, like I was saying, it's just like it's not like. I mean, it's fascinating to see the NFL players like going crazy over the 40 to 50 to 70 million, and then you have Major League Baseball players sign in
250, all fully guaranteed.
Giants and Raiders will be bidding against
500 million.
I do think if Dak goes somewhere, it'll be the rumor was Dak and Parcells to the Giants next season. Not Parcells, Belichick. I was like, that would be interesting. But they're terrible. The Giants are terrible.
That's another head coach that's lost the locker room.
Any other NFL news we want to talk about while we're on the NFL?
I don't know if there's any news coming out of training camp for Dallas. Anything interesting? I don't know if there's like
other than people not showing up to it.
But that's mandatory though, right?
Yeah, it is. He'll get fined.
He'll get fined.
And now they can't.
They'll pay him extra in a signing bonus to cover the fines, and it'll be swept under the rug.
Now they're not supposed to be able to waive the fine, but they'll be able to.
Anything out of the training camp?
Oh well, what's interesting? I got to ask you this, Craig, because I did a whole episode yesterday on it, or a little short on it. Dak says, "Get over it, move on, Craig." move on. The fact that we got blown up by the Packers last year in the playoffs, and once again disappointing you. Get over it. What do you got to say to that?
I mean,
What else do you do?
I basically said the same thing for all these years. I mean, you can be mad all you want to. The team's going to be the team, and you can sit here and blame the quarterback. You can sit here and blame the head coach. You can sit here and blame the owner. Really doesn't change the fact that every Sunday you're going to sit down and you're going to watch them win 10 games, 12 games, and then you're going to watch them in the playoffs, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to lose in the playoffs, and we're going to be right back here talking about it next year. Basically the path. And until the path is broken, this is what we're going to do.
I'm going to have to tell Ryan here to get over
when
it.
The path is broken, you're going to have when the path is finally broken, you're going to have 9 million people come out of the woodworks and say they've been Cowboy fans for years when they haven't been.
Well, I don't know if we'll see that path broken anytime soon, but
at least nobody got to see their team get destroyed by 70 points.
So. I thought, Jeff, that was pretty bad. I thought it was pretty bold though that he would come out and say that, and then say it hurt us obviously more than you, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Because they had to live through it. The fans got to shut it off at least.
You said.
I don't think Cowboys fans shut it off though. I think that lingers for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Does. And they go home to their multi-million-dollar mansions, and we'll get ready for next season. I'm like, okay, that was a little bold.
Well, and that's how it is. I mean, who was it?
Tua is not
Aaron
him.
Rodgers, the relax, I mean, these guys all say the same thing.
Ryan's throwing out random things here. Tua is not him, which I'm not on the Tua. I don't think I'm on the Tua train.
I mean, he's not wrong. I like Tua, but I mean, he can't throw a deep ball, and
he said Packers suck. I'm going to tell you like your quarterback. Get over it.
I mean, it's like my last year was the first time I think ever that I heard my dad just kind of laugh at the Cowboys losing, because he was like, "What do you want me to say?" It's the same thing every year. We deal with it every year, and I'm like, at least you're being at least you're humble about it. I mean, in the past, my dad would just scream and yell.
It would be more surprising if they won.
They say, Jeff, that's pretty surprising because
my dad, every year he's like screaming and yelling about it, and get rid of this guy or get rid of that guy. And this year he just was like, all I do is laugh now.
I told Brian sitting in the bar at the week 18 deal. When we found out we were playing the Packers, I was like, nope, didn't want that.
Didn't want any part of that.
Would have wanted any other path. I did not want.
And I said, you're going to win. You're 12-5. We barely snuck into the playoffs. Well, I was wrong on that one.
It was just a bad matchup. It was they were the hottest team in football at the time coming in. It just, as soon as it happened, I said, I didn't.
Ryan, is this really a hot take? I guess I'll say if McCarthy saves his job, it'll be because of Mike Zimmer. I don't think that's really a hot take. If anything drastically changes this year on your team, it's going to be the defense.
I don't know how it can drastically change when it was already good.
That was already good, yeah. I mean, I think if something
your
bad,
offense is getting better with your. I mean, is that going to drastically change? You're going to score 40 points a game. I don't think
they were scoring. Probably 30 a game last year.
Says we don't want Niners or the Packers. I don't want the Niners. We have that in common. Don't let me play the Niners in the playoffs because we ain't winning it. All right, guys.
I think if anything bad, if the Cowboys season, it doesn't really matter at this point, because I think ultimately everybody understands that if something bad happens, McCarthy's probably out of there. I mean, especially if it gets really bad.
Not probably. You can scratch that word. I mean,
that's the only thing to do, I would think. And that then obviously Mike Zimmer would be in the deal. So,
all right, guys. Well, we could ramble all night all about random things about sports, but we're glad. Thanks, Ryan, for jumping on and joining in. Halfway through, I figured out that our live wasn't public. Thanks, Ryan, for that too. I got to figure out on YouTube because it's not on there for some reason, like it should be. But anyways,
it's a new system. We're figuring it out.
Yeah, we're figuring it out. It's a new platform. It's a fantastic platform. It's way better than the one we were using. All right, guys, it's that time of the night where we get on here and we ask, what's in your locker? And we'll start with Craig. Craig, my buddy, what's in your locker?
Not a whole lot. Kind of things are starting to plateau a little bit at the office, and getting ready to see if the Giants make any last-minute trade deadline, whether they're going to go in or whether they're going to go out. They kind of are in the middle right now. They're 5.5 back, so try to see if they make any moves. If the pitching staff has gotten a lot better. Snell's finally found his stretch, so I'll be watching baseball and looking forward to maybe taking a vacation here second week of August. So take some time off, maybe go camping with my dad, and things to calm down a little bit. So other than that, that's all I got. How about you guys?
Is it my turn? Things are going pretty good. I'm going to see my mom next weekend, so I'm gonna go see her in Colorado Springs, and then Allie's got a book selling event up there as well. So we got that going on. Just trying to watch baseball. It's been not, but because my team's been acting wonky, all of a sudden. So I'm trying to pay attention to that. Actually, I'm kind of been paying attention to a lot of the off season for the Mavericks. Actually, so it's pretty fascinating to see Dinwiddie back in Dallas. I think that's a good thing for Luka. But I'm very excited to see how that season starts. I'm extremely excited to see how those players play together. And so, just obviously football, getting ready for that. I've been paying attention to a lot of the quarterback competition going on, between Bo Nix and Zach Wilson and Stetson or something like that. I can't remember that guy's name. But anyway, I want Bo Nix. A lot of the fans here want Bo Nix. So people are kind of rooting for him. And
we know what Zach Wilson is, and you need to
start. Zach Wilson. Yeah.
Don't want that.
This is the second Wilson we had to deal with. So, so it's just I'm excited. I've been actually watching Pete Rose documentary on HBO Max. It's like a 4-part, so I think I've watched 2 of them so far, and pretty wild stuff. I mean,
I didn't ask you about what it was at because I didn't see it, but
it's on HBO. It just came out like a day or so ago, 2 days, something like that. And I saw a trailer for it, and I was like, I'm absolutely watching that. So fascinating. I'm not too seasoned in the Pete Rose, like in depth as to like, what his life was like and, early days of his game and all that kind of stuff. So I've never really gone in depth of his life. I know obviously he bet the game, but yeah, it's cool. It was cool. I suggest anybody who likes baseball, especially history with baseball, especially Pete Rose, go watch it. It's really, really good. And it's not like it's a glory fest of just, putting Pete Rose on a pedestal. They actually do some digging, and there's some hard questions. And, they even ask people that are not fans of Pete Rose, like what, that knew him. So it's pretty good. Pretty good. But that's my locker. What's in yours, Brian?
All right. Well, this week I had off Thursday and Friday. We got tickets to go see this man right here, Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen, Jelly Roll, and Nate Smith. We went to AT&T Stadium, and I knew I was going to get home late. I was like, that's why we went Thursday night, and thank God I did because I didn't know Jelly Roll wasn't on because he did Thursday and Friday. Jelly Roll wasn't there on Friday. It was Cole Wetzel, but I'm a big Jelly Roll fan, so Jelly Roll was awesome. Morgan Wallen was fantastic, put on a great show. My only complaint: you have the huge jumbotron, and you don't even use it. What was that? Like, come on. They didn't turn the jumbotron on. I'm like, what in the world's going on?
That's the first time I've ever seen that. Every concert I've ever seen in there has used it.
Mine too. And they built this jumbotron kind of on the stage that wraps around a little bit, that they showed everything on. Because we're in the nosebleeds, of course, because tickets are absolutely outrageous. So I'm like, they're going to have the jumbotron on. I never used it one time. I'm like, awesome. But I still had a blast. Still had a good time. Didn't get home until 1 a.m. Other than that, I've just been relaxing. I'm trying to pay attention to the Rangers. We had to talk about it last week about how they need to be sellers, and they come out and they get blown out by Baltimore, and they sweep the White Sox, which is the worst team in baseball. I'm like, well, and in some of those games we barely won by 1 point, and then we play against the Blue Jays. And I'm like, well, Blue Jays aren't good anymore, and we get blown out in those 2 games. We need to be small sellers and just hope for a better season next year. So baseball's not really been too fun for me right now, but I think we're still on the World Series high, so I'll take it. Other than that, getting ready for football. Got church tomorrow and then work next week. So
And we have the
that's
Olympics
what's in
going
my
on.
locker. And
We
you
have
got the
basketball
Olympics.
in the Olympics.
I don't care about basketball in the Olympics, honestly. I watch more of not weirdo sports, but the weird sports. Like in wintertime, I love curling.
Oh yeah,
and the
curling's
snow,
great.
And the summertime, like Simone Biles is always great to watch because she's amazing. The
Yeah,
Like
swimming,
track and field
yeah.
and swimming.
track running.
Who was the girl that got that didn't qualify last time?
Richard Samari.
She's
Richard
in.
or something?
She's in now,
this year,
so
yeah.
that'd be fascinating. We got
As well-
soccer in there too, and
Yeah,
few other things,
coaches
but-
getting banned for flying drones
For-
over practice.
pulling a Bill Belichick and cheating. So there's a lot of there's some issues going on with the whole Olympic thing, but we're not going to get into that because we're not that kind of show. But all right, guys, great episode. We got to figure out the kinks on getting it on live. But great episode. These are division winners. I don't know what you guys, if you watch this, let us know what you think. We had some pretty bold takes on the division winners, I think. Hot takes. But I think the boldest of them all was the Chargers would be winning their division. Sorry, Cat. I can't stand the Chiefs winning it again. I just can't. All right, guys. Well, that's this episode. God bless, and remember,
Keep it outspoken.
keep it outspoken.